What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any words. I am an American, so I do have a disadvantage here because there are some words here that I'm probably not going to be able to pronounce, but I am going to try my best. That being said, this is my review for the 2024 film Raayan. So Raayan is an action revenge film that I only knew those two genres going into, as well as the premise, which originally doing this video I was planning to divulge the premise, but after seeing the movie, it seems like the premise does spoil some stuff, so I'm not going to reveal the premise. All I'm going to do is, if you are interested in actually reading the premise, I will put it in the description section down below, but this review will be spoiler-free, I promise you. So, that being said, I was excited going into this movie. I feel like Indian cinema is something that I've always been interested in the last decade, but it's one of those things that this year in particular, I've taken an extra step in trying to watch even more so, in particular 2024 films. And I've liked pretty much all of them, I would say, to varying effects. Some of them I love, some of them I just think are solid, some I think are just good. That being said, this movie, directed by the name of Dhanush, who also wrote and also starred in this movie. So it's definitely a passion project, but also an ambition one at that, because having to do all three of those aspects is very, very lofty, and I was excited for that. What I will say about this movie is this: it is inconsistent, but there are some consistent elements, and I will say the most consistent is A.R. Rahman's score. He is the same composer that did Legan, Once Upon a Time in India, and he is a great composer. And his score here is incredible as well. And I also love the soundtrack, love the sound effects. The sound design as a whole is just great. Like, from an audio perspective, it's a great, great sounding film. And I do think that at times the cinematography does complement it quite well. The cinematography utilizes a lot of bright colors to give this vibrant feel to it. And I do think that for the most part, the camera work is quite good. And I do like the camera movement itself. I do have some issues with the cinematography that I will talk about in my mixed and negative section, but for now, those elements I did quite like. I also think the performances are pretty good. Some are more theatrical than others, but they still work with what they're going for. I also like the costume design, and I do think the makeup's pretty good as well. In terms of filmmaking, those aspects I think are strong. And I do also like some of the themes that are tackled, and I do think the third act is pretty great overall. If I'm looking at the movie as a whole, though, that third act is what frustrates me, though, because I look at Act 1 and 2, and it's just not as strong as Act 3. It seems like Act 3 is when Dhanush, the director, was really feeling more confident about the material, and everything kind of came together. In particular, the ending. I think the last scene does a really good job of bookending the opening scene and tying together, and that worked really well. But here's the thing. I kind of wonder about this movie, in the hands of a different director, if it would be better, because there are some choices where I was like, come on, man. Like, for example, there are a lot of scenes where there's information that's being delivered where it should be, like, shocking to audience members, like, really impactful. But the way that it's edited is so fast-paced that you don't even really have time to register what exactly it is that's happening. But then there are other scenes where scenes last a little bit too long, and you have too long for things to register, and then it becomes kind of mundane. I do also think that in regards to the villain, I think that, yes, he is, villainous, but he is kind of two-dimensional, which is kind of a shame. But with what they're going for, I suppose it works, but only to an extent. And I do think that, again, the directing is kind of uneven. What we have here is a story that, yes, it's original, yes, it's ambitious, and usually I love both of those aspects, and I do love those aspects here. But I think in execution, it was very bumpy, and I do think that tonally it can be kind of inconsistent as well. That being said, I still think that this movie's worth watching. I really do. It is, again, very beautifully shot, although some of the cinematography I mentioned, it has like this overly digital look to it that's kind of like murky and disgusting looking, which I'm not used to because I've seen, again, some Indian cinema films, and usually they're all shot digitally, yes, but they're also vibrant and so alive. So it was just kind of odd to see some scenes where it was like, ugh, just not looked really good. But again, that being said, I do think that, I know it might sound like I'm mixed about this movie. I'm not. I just think it's okay, but I see the potential for this to have been a really good film. Like, if someone were in the future to say, hey, India is remaking this film in the hands of a different director, I would watch it 100%. As it stands, it is decent, and I do think that one thing it does have going for it is that it does get better as it gets along, and particularly that third act is quite strong. And if you are an action revenge fan, that third act will be quite satisfying. So overall, I enjoyed myself, flaws aside, and I do think that Raayan is a film that you should support in theaters, and I would recommend it. That's why for me, I'll personally be giving a... But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts down below if you've seen Rayhan. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. And what's your favorite revenge film from India for 2024? Let me know in the comment section down below. For me, it would have to be Maharaja. I'm still thinking about that film. That was really, really well done. But let me know yours in the comment section down below. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget the subscription, notification bell. Follow me down on Patreon, Letterboxd, and catch you guys later.